Now turn to the advisory and take a look at the DIY retiree. Talk about the success and what you need to do to succeed if you are a DIY retiree. Roger Perrett is joining us from Freshwater Wealth. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you. Good to be here.
So you talk about someone doing it themselves in terms of retirement. This is not necessarily just about setting up an SMSF.
No, that's right. So it's funny. I guess in the Australian culture, a lot of people like to DIY, and I think in Australia we've got around about 4.2 million people who have retired or retirees right now, and there's around about 15,000 advisors. So you can imagine there's a lot of people who are doing it themselves. Like you say, in the self-managed super fund space, around about 25% of the assets in superannuation are held by self-managed super funds, and only 25% of those self-managed super funds actually have an advisor as well. So a lot of people are DIYing their retirement.
Is that fraught with danger?
Well, look, I think so. I just think it's just so hard to do because there's the legislative traps, the investment decisions to make, and then your emotions telling you what to do potentially at the wrong times as well. I think it is fraught with danger, but there are some steps that DIY retirees can do to get success, like you say.
All right, well, let's go through some of those steps then, what you need to take. What's the first step? How do you get on that ladder?
Yeah, I think the first thing is you're basically trying to work out what your plans are. Like, do you have a $50,000 a year lifestyle, or do you have $1 million a year lifestyle? Like, what are the things you're wanting to achieve in retirement? And then there may be other things like are there costs for ageing parents or helping kids out with homes and things like that. So step one, definitely trying to work out what you need. The second one is...
Just before we get...
Yeah, no worries.
In terms of that, you might have a lifestyle in mind that you want to fund, but do you need to work the other way perhaps, like how much money you have, what you can afford rather than what you're aspiring to? How do you balance that?
Well, that's right. Yeah, sometimes if people really wanting that type of lifestyle, and they may not have enough, they may have to make a few decisions. Maybe do they pare the lifestyle down, or in their accumulating years take a little bit more risk, or actually do more for their pending retirement. So you're right. There's that absolute balance that some people need to make.
Or the kids can forget about any sort of inheritance, maybe.
Well, that's true. Like a lot of people, come to me and they say, look, I want this. I want my super to last almost like 20 years time. I want the balance to be the same. Where some people like, oh no, we're spending the kids' inheritance. If I pass away and I've got $1 in the bank, that's my goal.
Right.
So we get both types, absolutely.
Yeah, plenty of that. All right, so that's the first step. Make a plan. Next, then you're saying you need to generate some tax-free income. Yeah,
that's right. We're very very fortunate, I guess, in super. We don't have to pay any tax in retirement, so it's really maximising that retirement. Really maximising the superannuation benefit with that tax-free income. And it was interesting, Vanguard had a study this week that was saying actually clients with an advisor can get up to like 51% extra income by getting those strategies right, just by maximising that tax-free income. So that's a big one, number two, yeah.
Absolutely. Which leads us to the third step, which is to minimise tax.
That's right, yeah. So if in the accumulating years, minimising the tax, or if you're selling assets, capital gains tax, and dare I say, the death tax that we've spoken about too, minimising that potential tax for your dependents. So that's a big one, minimising tax. So yeah.
Now, of course, many people approaching retirement or in retirement would still have significant debt, perhaps, certainly over the family home.
Yeah.
What plan do you need?
Yeah, that's right. So some people in retirement, they want to get rid of that debt, or they may have investment property or investment loan debt, and it's really important to I guess optimise which debt they pay off. So do we pay off the home loan? Do we pay off the investment loan? Do we use super to pay off these loans, or do we keep this debt going into retirement? So that next one, step 4, optimising debt's like super important for retirees. Yeah.
And maybe once you've cleared your debt, you need to invest still, don't you?
That's right, yeah, that's right. And investing is obviously very, very important, getting that risk profile right, making sure it aligns to your time frame, because we've got two risks there. One is market risk, because markets can go up and down, but the other one is longevity risk. So if you go too conservative, you're getting rid of the market risk, but then you're exposing yourself to longevity risk. You may run out of money. So it's really getting that balance right in terms of investing. And Russell came out with some interesting research that like an advisor can add up to 1.1% value per annum just getting that asset allocation right, just with the investment choice. So it's super important for retirees, those DIY retirees, to get that right.
Now, when you're in the retirement stage of life, probably the last thing you ought to do is take risk. So, and that certainly comes to your assets in terms of capital preservation.
Yes.
So how do you actually protect those assets?
Yeah, that's right. So protecting assets is super key, and that can be from, potentially being sued, can be cybercrime, huge one at the moment, you know what I mean? Illness, in our accumulating years, we can insure for it, but obviously when you retire, it's a little bit tricky. So, but it is really making sure we do everything we can to protect the assets, especially in retirement.
And finally, it's not all about selfish behaviour, about you and
That's
funding
right.
your holidays for the rest of your life. You say there's also room for making a bit of philanthropic moves as well.
That's right, yeah, exactly. Thinking of those sort of scenarios, if you're not around, who's getting the money, how do we give it to those people in the most tax effective way? And like you say, it's a great opportunity to give to charities or make a lasting difference to people's lives. So I think those 7 steps really complete the picture and help those DIY retirees, have a great retirement.
Okay, so though, if you don't want to do it yourself, what do you do?
That's right, yeah. I think if you reach out to an advisor, so in terms of the costs, I guess that's important to know that if the cost is X, I know for myself the value I'm trying to provide our clients is that we give them double that, like 2X. And I often think that value with an advisor comes in 2 parts. One is that logical value, so do my tax savings that you derive outweigh the costs I'm paying you? Is the performance you're generating me outperforming the costs I'm paying? So I guess that's that logical value, maybe time value as well. But then the second one is that emotional value. So having that peace of mind and confidence and things like that. So reaching out to an advisor, I think will give you those both values, the logical value as well as that emotional value.